Hi, this is Isaac Harper, and I want to cover some time-saving tips on cleaning up your drawings using tools in AutoCAD that some people have forgot about or maybe have overlooked. Like most things, there's lots of different ways you can approach editing your drawing files. We are creatures of habit, so a lot of times we find some people are still editing in AutoCAD the way they were taught in older releases, which is fine, but if I can show you some proven time-saving tips that will shave seconds off, then we all benefit. Let's start. The first tip I want to show you is using the fillet command to clean up your line work in AutoCAD. Now you're probably familiar with the fillet command and its settings, but I wanted to point out a neat little feature. If you will notice, under my current settings I'm set to no trim with a radius of 5. So that means if I go ahead and select this, notice that it automatically adds the radius, but it did not clean up the line work. Also, if you'll notice my command line, that as soon as I selected the two lines, the command was over. Let me go ahead and delete this, and let's redo it again. And now I want to show you a trick. From here, I'm going to go ahead and launch the fillet command again. Please notice that my settings are still set to the same, but what I'm going to do now is first I'm going to right-click and hit multiple. Realize anything that is on your command line is always available on your right-click shortcut menu. The next thing I want to go ahead and point out is if I hold down the Shift key and select these lines, it automatically sets the radius to 0 and sets it to trim up the lines. This is a great tip, allowing you to be able to clean up lots of line work in a very fast way. The next command I want to go ahead and show you is dealing with objects in your drawing that might be line work that has just been extended. For example, you will notice this blue line and this red line are two separate lines. They touch, but they are two separate ones. Another thing I want to go ahead and point out is notice that I do have another line that's on top or could be underneath another line, which if there were different line weights, if it was underneath, I would never notice until after I was done plotting. The last one I have here is a line that is gapped between, but it does line up with the original line. Well, to clean this up really easily, what I could do is come over here to the Modify panel on my Home tab in the ribbon, and you will notice that the second to the last button is called Join. The trick is the first thing you want to do is select the source object. So for example, let's say that the green line is the one that I want everything to be joined to. I'll select that, then I can put a big old window or crossing around it and select. Notice that there is a green line, and if I move it out of the way, there's nothing underneath. Even if I were to go to the erase command, you will notice that it says one object found. This is a great way to clean up objects that are stacked, gapped, or just touching that need to be one line. Another thing that I can do with the join command is I can also turn arcs back into circles. If I were to come right back up to the command again, select the arc, right click, there's an option in here called close. The next tip I want to go ahead and show you is cycling through objects. If you will notice, I have 4 separate objects here that are on different layers, and they're different colors just to make it easier for you to see that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move each one of these back on top of each other. And now I want you to see that usually when I hover my cursor over, I'm only going to be able to see the one that is considered to be on top. Well, there's an easy way to cycle through your objects so you can grab the ones that you want. For example, let's say that I want to move only the blue and the black one out of this stacked set. I can come over here to move. Now the trick is first you have to hold your cursor over the highlighted object, hold down the Shift key, and then tap the space bar. You will notice that it will now cycle through all of the different objects. When I get to the objects that I want, the blue one, I will then go ahead and pick. Then I can go ahead and continue on, hold down the Shift key, tap through the selection. When I get to the black one, go ahead and pick again. And you'll notice on my command line it now says 2 total. Once I hit enter and move them out, you will see that I was able to move both those objects out from all 4 of them. This is a great way to be able to work with lines that are stacked on top of each other without having to send them to front or back or turning on and off layers. The last thing I want to go ahead and show you is the Match Properties command. The Match Properties command can be found on the clipboard in the lower right hand corner here of the Home tab. When you select the match properties, first thing it's going to ask you for is to select a source object. The source object would be what you want other things to match to. So for example, if I select that hidden line that is black and then I go select the green line which is continuous, notice it was able to pick up all of those settings and change it to match. From here, not only can you just match layers and colors and line types and line weights, but you can also go in and take a look at all the different settings that we have. If I were to go ahead and take a look at what my options are, I'll select this piece of text first of all, and you'll notice if I come down here to settings under my right click menu that I can actually go in and assign certain things. For example, I have color, layer, line type, and so on under my basic properties. Those are properties that all objects share. Under special properties would be the type of object that it is. Notice that I have unchecked the hatch pattern because I don't want it to match it, but I do want it to match the layer and line type. So let's go back in and take a look at some of these settings when I go in and select them. So now if I were to go in and select this text too, not only did it change its text style, but it changed its color, its layer, and so on. Let's go ahead and do another one here. And I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select that. Once again, remember I had turned off the hatch pattern, so it did not match the pattern, but it did match everything else that was checked. This is a great feature, and one last thing that I wanted to point out about it. If you were working from drawing to drawing, you can even match properties across different drawings. If the content doesn't exist, like a layer or a line type or a style, it automatically builds it for you. So this is a great way to get all your drawings to match the standards. Well, that's it for today's tips. I hope you were able to take away something that will help you save some time. Even if it's only a second or two faster than what you're doing now, realize after a few hundred times, those seconds add up.